Board filled up once again. I like to see this every month. If it attains to the county school system, I like to see standing room only. So thank y'all for coming. First of all, I want to have a little moment of silence, just to reflect on the past months going on in the worldwide news and in the Lawrence County news. And after that, we would entertain a pledge of allegiance. So, moment of silence. Thank you. Please rise for the national pledge. Yeah, national. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I guess I'm still back in the sports days where they had the national anthem and all that, but pledge is just as good. Please call roll, please.
Caruso.
Here.
Davis.
Here.
Dryden. Daniel. Mabry.
Here.
Jacobs. Rochelle.
Here.
Hartsfield.
Here.
Noddert. 5 present, 4 absent.
I believe that consists of a quorum, so thank you. Tonight on first agenda we have the recognition, and that is Mr. Corey for retired education.
I'll be brief, but tonight I have the honor of recognizing 2 of my former teachers. And I'll be honest, I'm a little selfish when it comes to this. I want to recognize people that made an impact on me, and it's just a chance for me to say thanks and give back. So tonight I'm going to honor Mr. Rory Perry and Miss Shirley Perry, sorry. Rory graduated from Loretta High School, and then he went and got a bachelor's degree from Martin College, and he got his master's from MTSU. He taught school for 35 years, starting at elementary school, junior high school, and high school. In 2002, he retired from teaching from LCSS, where he taught biology, advanced biology, and science. He served as the chair of the science department for many years there. He coached basketball at David Crockett Elementary. He was the tennis coach at LCHS for both the boys and tennis teams, and from 1983 until 2002. And during that span, he not one time had a losing season. That's what I'm talking about. He was instrumental in the building of our tennis courts over here on the campus at LCHS. Miss Perry graduated high school from Kaiserslautern High School in Germany. She received her bachelor's degree from UNA. She taught 20 years. She retired from LCHS also in 2002. She taught German, English, history, yearbook. She sponsored the German club and organized 5 trips to Europe for German students, parents, and other teachers. Just recently, they celebrated their 56th wedding anniversary. They have 3 children, Jonathan, Andy, and Lori. They have 10 grandchildren and 1 great-grandchild. Since retiring in 2002, they've traveled from Europe to Hawaii. They've made extended trips to out west in the States. Each year they spend 1 to 2 months in Destin. And they also spend time with their family, and they have enjoyed spending these retired years together. So, for me, it's just very simple. These 2 made a huge impact in my life. I was a young punk, smart mouth high school student like a lot of kids, but Miss Perry I remember her being super, super kind. And, and somebody like me who could have cared less about German and learning how to speak one word of it. But she still cared. And standing here today, I can honestly say that she made a great impact in my life. And Mr. Perry, who on the other hand, treated me like a young punk kid that I was. And I appreciated that greatly, to be honest. So it was kind of like a mom and dad situation. Mom gives you the grace and dad brings the hammer. So, but again, the important thing is that I know how much of a difference they made in my life, and I know that there were many, many others that they did the same for. And so I was just, it was easy for me to be able to recognize you two for the Retired Educator of the Month.
Next on the agenda tonight is a recognition of student from Ingram South.
Good evening. At the beginning of the school year, the faculty and staff at Ingram South developed a portrait of a successful Ingram South student. We identified the traits and characteristics we wanted our students to possess. We want our students to have an excellent attendance record, grit and perseverance, and care about their education. Above all, we want our students to develop and demonstrate leadership skills to advocate for themselves. I am honored to celebrate a shining star at Ingram South. Larissa Walker is a 5th grade student who exemplifies the characteristic in our portrait of an Ingram South student. This year, Larissa was selected to represent her class as the president of student government. She was the team leader for our Lego League and is a member of the Knowledge Bowl team. Academically, she has mastered Khan Academy for 5th grade and is currently working on 7th grade math standards. She was the first in our school to read 1 million words in Accelerated Reader. Larissa also participated as a teammate on our intramural soccer team. She is all around an amazing young lady, and we are proud of Larissa and her amazing grit, perseverance, and resiliency as she has faced many challenges this year, and she's thrived. It is my honor and pleasure to introduce to you Larissa Walker, Ingram South 5th grade student.
Can we get all the teachers to come up here and get a picture? Everybody that's for Ingram South to come up. Marissa, we've never had this many people come for a student. This is awesome.
I don't know about the student, Mr. Chairman, but I got chill bumps with all that support.
I agree. I was gonna let you let him sit down, but, Larissa, you must have a big impact from the whole school if everybody shows up. So, congratulations for being a great student, and keep up the good work. Next on the agenda tonight is consent items. We have A through E.
Motion to approve, A through E.
I got a motion, I get a second.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. And before I like to go on to item number 2, which is report items, we have a request for a Mr. Buddy Marks to speak in front of the board. Mr. Marks, just keep in mind that all questions or directive is to be towards myself. If you want a question or answered before any other board member, I will address that board member and ask them to answer your question. And keep in mind, we are going to go over the approval of the 22-23 budget in the on item number 3. And you have about 3 to 5 minutes to state what you need. So go ahead, Mr. Marks.
Yes, sir. First thing I'd like to tell you, I appreciate you giving me this time to do this.
No problem.
What you see here in this building, maintenance did that, 90% at least. And what we're saying is we appreciate what y'all are planning on doing for us, but then again, we feel that we're on the real low end of what's going on. Would we like more? I always like more. But, you know, we don't want to get something and have something took away from us either. And that's sort of what we're seeing. And we didn't know, you know, if y'all knew about that or if you really know what is in the proposal. So we wanted to come and just sort of bring it to your attention. And, you know, as far as maintenance goes, we do maintenance, but we also are about 2 steps, 3 steps above other maintenance people in the surrounding counties. Besides being able, we build buildings, we pour concrete, we do whatever's asked of us. We set units, we put units in. I mean, there's nothing that this maintenance department doesn't do. And we just feel that maybe we're on the low end of our pay scale, and we would just like to see it bumped up if that's possible. Whether y'all can do that or not, we didn't know. We just wanted to bring it to your attention and just let you know that we do appreciate what you're trying to do, but if it was possible to bump it up, we would greatly appreciate it.
Very well. Does anybody have any questions at this time? No questions? All right, thank you very much, Mr. Marks.
Appreciate it very much.
Moving on to item number 2, report items. A1 is Ingram South Elementary.
Good evening, Mr. Atkins, board members, district leaders, and all attendees at this meeting. I'm honored and proud to represent Ingram South Elementary as the principal. I appreciate the opportunity to stand before you to present a summary of our school year. To begin, I would like to ask you to scan the room and look for those wearing this shirt. And they're mostly in the back of the room, and you saw them come to the front. These are our ISES mission shirts. These are the shirts we wear each Monday to help us keep in mind our mission, instilling success in every student. This evening, I am the voice of our school, but those wearing this shirt are the heartbeat of Ingram Sal. These men and women are committed to being a difference maker for our school. They make it count for every child every day, and it is their work that I present to you tonight. At Ingram Sal, we want all students learning at high levels in a culture of collaboration that is focused on results. This year, we have used curriculum purchased by the district to provide high-quality lessons that meet the rigor of grade-level standards. We have used the curriculum with integrity and fidelity. We have provided interventions to all students based on their specific needs during our WIN time. WIN stands for What I Need. This intervention time gives students the support they need based on their present level of performance. Each year, each student takes 3 universal screeners each year. We analyze that data to support our children. As we focus on results, I would like to share the progress that we've made this year. In math, we've tested 339 students, and in August, when we did our first assessment, we had 3 students that were on grade level in our building. In May, we just finished our May testing, we had 83 students that are now on grade level. In August, we had 16 students that were early on grade level or on grade level, and we now have 149 students on grade level or at the early grade level. In August, we had 16% of our students, that's 53 students, that were significantly behind. That is 3 or more years behind in their grade level. And we have, as this May assessment, decreased that number to where we have 22 students that we are targeting for specific interventions for being more than 3 years behind. Currently, we have 36% of our students, that's 100 students out of 277 students, that are reading on grade level. We have identified limited vocabulary as a factor in preventing students from being successful in subgroup populations. While we do celebrate some of our improvements, we recognize and realize that there is much to be done at Ingram Sal. Knowing that, we have already created our academic plan for the next school year. In just a few short weeks, we will be working with our students to build knowledge. Our theme for next year is Around the World, Headed in the Right Direction. The most significant change will be the addition of educational experiences through STEAM and experiences that increase the building of students' vocabularies. Another area of major concern are the students who are at moderate and high risk of externalizing and internalizing behaviors. After our spring assessment, we identified 49.3% of our students who fall into these categories. We cannot continue to have students' behavior be a barrier to their success. We will continue to work with RTI2B as well as capturing kids' hearts to support our students moving forward. We invite you to stop by our campus and experience our culture and to see firsthand how we are impacting the lives of the students we serve. This Thursday evening, we are partnering with Lawrence County Substance Abuse Prevention Coalition, Chorus Christmas, and Stryker's Restaurant to have a backyard barbecue at our school from 4:30 until 6:30. At this time, I want to formally invite each of you to that backyard barbecue and join us just to learn more about our school. Again, I appreciate the opportunity to be the voice in sharing our story. We have many promising practices and look forward to continued success at Ingram Sal. Thank you for everything that you do for us at that school. We appreciate you greatly. Thank you.
Does the board have any questions or comments?
I'd like to comment.
Go ahead.
That's a tremendous job she's doing over there, her and her staff, and we thank you very much for that. Great
I
work.
agree,
Great work.
100%. Good job, good job. Next on report item is Liama Elementary.
Good evening. You should have on your table a report that I prepared for each of you. Let me first apologize and thank you for letting me present tonight. I was scheduled for March, and during the meeting, I was holding my 6-hour grandchild. So I wasn't thinking too much about you at that time. So thank you for letting me reschedule that. I just put together just some things on a little spreadsheet here for you, just to kind of let you know where we are. I call this the State of the Liama Address. We were, this past school year, based on 10 ready scores, we were a C in achievement and a B in growth. So we were really pleased to see that growth there. I told my teachers, I said, we want to be at or above whatever the county average is, preferably above, but we want to be at or above. We don't want to be what's going to bring us down as a county. You can look at our TVOS scores, our composite there, we were a 5. Literacy, we were a 3. Numeracy, a 5. In literacy and numeracy together, we were a 5. We've always struggled in, we've been more of a math school typically than an ELA school. So this year, we've really been focusing on ELA, and you'll see some results from that as well. I have the individual grade level growth scores there. You can see 8th grade tends to be, they're not elementary, they're not high school, they're kind of in the middle, and they have a bad case of the don't want tos. And you can see there that we still struggle with some of those scores there with our 8th grade. SchoolNet is a test that we give. We gave a mock assessment earlier in February, but if you'll look at 4th grade specifically, just to kind of line this out and then you can look at these scores, we're seeing increases. If you look at the 4th grade, at 3rd grade, that first column, that would be the students' 3rd grade TCAP scores. They are currently 4th graders, but those would be their 3rd grade scores. That is the percentage of students that were considered proficient in ELA. You can see that the mock is the 4th grade scores. There's a considerable difference. Up to 52% are considered proficient on our mock scores. We just hope that that's going to be a good segue into TCAP for this year when we get our scores back. On the back of that, you'll see star reading scores. This is the percentage of students we have at every grade level that are above the 50th percentile. And we're real proud of that. We had a slide that year right before hybrid. We kind of took a dip in ELA. Again, this is reading because that's really been a strong focus for us this year. But we are seeing steady improvement, especially in our 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, which was honestly surprising to me. But that is where we are seeing our biggest growth. On chronic absenteeism for 2021 last year, we really went down in our attendance. Our enrollment to 432. We dropped about 50 kids that chose to be remote or they were homeschooled. It has since come up. We're sitting at about 511 now. But we had 36 of those students that were considered chronically absent at an 8.3%. I hope that's better. I'm fearful this next year that it might not be. We had 440 students that have COVID-related absences this school year. Now, some of those are counted, a child may be counted twice in those numbers, but that's a lot of students that had COVID-related absences this year of 10 days, sometimes even 20 days at a time. So I'm fearful there that we may not meet our AMO on attendance. We were able to add 5 staff members this year through ESSER and 10 All-Corps, 4 assistants and 1 teacher, with the plan of adding 1 more teacher next year to do some intervention with that. Some exciting things going on. We're really looking forward to our summer learning. We're doing our robotic gearing up for summer theme. We're looking forward to that and already have about 34% of our student body that is going to be participating in summer learning. So that's fantastic. Our projected enrollment for next year is 503. We had our very first robotics team this year. We had 2 of them and walked away with first place in the regional robotics and design. And we're having a parent night on Thursday night. We're not having barbecue though. We're having pizza, but you can come. But we're having our very first robotic parent night on Thursday night for those 2 teams to compete against each other. And that's going to be a lot of fun. We're looking forward to doing that. We also have had a huge push for RTI2B, that is a behavior plan. And we're having a carnival on Friday. So we're going out this year in a bang. We're going to have a lot of fun with that, and kids earned tickets to participate in various things based on their behavior throughout the year. So we're looking forward to that. That's going to be a lot of fun. I counted $1,000 today. I had to add in 9 to make it 1,000, but I did. We counted $1,000 today that our students raised on behalf of the Substance Abuse Coalition here in town. They have been partners with us this year. We are going to be sponsoring a youth-to-youth club, I guess you'd call it, next year. It's a student-led club on substance abuse, so we're hoping to kick that off. We'll be one of 3 in the county doing that, and we too are excited about capturing kids' hearts and what's that going to do for our school and our student body and our staff. It's been a great year. It's been a hard year. Teachers are tired. Staff members are tired. There are things that we never thought we would ever experience as a teacher. I'm in year 37. Things I never thought I would ever have to deal with or do. And kids have lost their resiliency and they've lost stamina for learning. And that's what we're really trying to build up. A 7-hour day is a really long day. We lost that. Pandemic took that away from us, and they took that away from our kids. So we're really trying to build up that stamina and that resiliency, and we're looking forward and making plans for an even better year next year. Thank you for your efforts, and thank you for your attention. Appreciate you.
Are there any questions for Miss Kathy? Keep up the good work. I hate that you had to put $9 in to raise another $1,00000.
It was worth it.
I'm sure it is, but
I wanted to hit that
there you go, there you go. And I'm sure you're not the only principal or teacher or assistants or anybody in our system that gives that extra $1, $2, $5, $10 to get them over the mark, and I appreciate that. Very well. Moving on to the PVA.
It's going to be
Ms. Cope. Okay. Thanks a lot, guys.
I'm speaking on behalf of Patty tonight about PVA. So PVA has decided to renew their contract with Harmony. Harmony is the program that we use to contract with teachers and curriculum. Harmony came to visit us this couple of months ago, and with Mr. Adkins, myself, Mr. Tucker, Miss Elledge, and I believe Miss Michelle Truitt, along with Patty. And we kind of worked out some kinks about some issues that we've had with our students not being able to log on and those types of things. So everything got worked out. But what was so exciting was the group that came to visit us, they actually went on a field trip with our PBA students and Patty to the Adventure Science Museum. So we feel like they are vested in our students and in what we're trying to do. So our goal for PBA in the beginning was to capture our homeschool students. Well, then once the pandemic hit, we realized that we have to have some of our students that were trying to homeschool, some of our brick and mortar students that were trying to homeschool, that we needed to get them, we needed to see what they were doing and making sure they were doing some kind of vetted program. So that's when we started adding some of our students that had anxiety problems. We added students that have family members that were sick, that just couldn't be in a brick and mortar school at the time. So now that we've migrated to kind of getting over this pandemic, we decided we've got to go back to our original idea of capturing our homeschool students that are in our community. We have about 500 students that we are trying to find and reach because we want them to get the best education that we feel like that we can offer for them. So our goal this next year is to get about 125 homeschool students. So what we've done is we're researching to make sure that they're true homeschool students. And the reason why is because we found out that our brick and mortar students, they don't know how to do homeschool. Homeschool is very difficult for parents if they've never been involved in it. I don't think I could do it, because they kind of go on their own timeline, and our parents don't know how to do that. Our brick and mortar parents don't know how to do that. So that's why we're going and looking for our true homeschool students. The students that we do have in PBA are Lawrence County School System students. They are going back to brick and mortar, not because we've pushed them, but because the parents realize that they need to be in school. They aren't homeschool students like our others that have been homeschooled since kindergarten. Our brick and mortar students are actually going back into the buildings this next school year. Also, we've had 3 graduates this year that have graduated from Pioneer Virtual Academy. And like I said, we're going back to our original idea of capturing our homeschool students and staying with Harmony. Any questions?
Board have any questions?
I was just curious of the number. How many kids are?
We have 85 students. But like I said, some of those are going to be going back that are not homeschooled. But now we do have a lot of true homeschool students. It's just hard for our kids to do it. They don't know how to actually do these online programs and the projects and the things like that that are expected of them. Any other questions?
Very well, thank you, Ms. Coleman.
Thank you.
Moving on to B, personnel items. That was, I believe, in the packet. Can you bring that up real quick? Are there any questions? Very well, moving on to Director's Report, Mr. Atkins.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a few things. First of all, I want to say thanks to all the people, hardworking folks who dealt with testing this time. Mrs. Burns, our system testing coordinator, reported to me yesterday that as of today, we have not had one single test returned for incorrect information in Skyward, EIS, or Pearson. Now that's a massive, massive undertaking if you are familiar with testing and how that works, the issues. I think there were over 7,000 issues last year throughout the state. Not a single one this year from Lawrence County. So a couple of folks we want to thank personally is Michelle Truitt and Demina Shelton, but then all those local level school-based testing coordinators, the teachers, everyone who put time and energy into that to make that happen. You probably recall from the weekly update, TISA did pass. That goes into effect 23-24. Also on our building projects, a lot of progress is taking place. Really pleased with how rapidly some of the work has happened over the last few weeks. So we are pleased with that. Still have a ways to go. I think Loretta High School is on track to be about a 14-month job, and Kaufman is progressing. Kaufman is the toughest of the jobs. We knew that going into it. And then Summertown is doing extremely well. They're in the kitchen up there already working, and also at Kaufman in the kitchen. Now, if you drive by there, you may not see what you think is a lot of progress, but each and every day they're making progress in those areas. Later tonight, you'll have the opportunity to vote on the budget. I will remind you that, as I mentioned at the work session, it's a starting point. It's an aggressive budget. I think it's the first time that we have tried to treat employees based on years of service, to also increase the hourly rates to help our folks across the board. Some of our staff members are seeing up to $2,000 raise, some of them $1,200 raises, but it is a step, a first time to really address the budget in a different format than a percentage. Our teachers, we talked to them about it possibly being up to $2,000. Of course, that is state mandated by 2026 that we increase that starting salary. For our bus drivers, trying to recognize our bus drivers who have been with the system longer, pay them more than a starting worker. Same way with our maintenance, across the board, our staff members, of addressing their needs, trying our best to find a way to begin a process, and it's going to take time. It's just not a fix overnight. Outside of that, Mr. Chairman, the school system's about to come to a close for this year. I can't be more proud, more humbled to serve the Lawrence County School System as Director of Schools and get to work with folks each and every day, work for them to make this the best place it can be for our employees, the county, and also represent the Board of Education. So I yield back. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Atkins. And I trust that you had a very well rested weekend after the many graduations you attended. And I heard it was a good participation, and we had good weather, so that's awesome. Go ahead, Vicki.
I just got a question. I wasn't here for that meeting about, the school building project, but is Kaufman still right on schedule, you think?
I think
To open in August?
I think the hope is that it will open in August. I think the concern now is going to shift to the cafeteria and some issues there. So I think Kaufman will be a little later into August. That's me now. Mr. Hill, who spoke to us, said he was going to do everything in his power to have it on track, but I just think that's going to take a little bit longer than what is. That was a job that's a year-long job that he recommended or suggested should have been a 14-month job rather than 12. But it's going to be close, but I don't see it happening.
Closer to September, you think?
Yeah, probably late third week of August, maybe. But anything can happen with that. Mr. Chairman, I do want to mention one thing. Our summer school planning is underway, another 4-week program. Some 1,400 students will participate in summer programming. And summer programming is not a punitive, it's not for the failures. It is a step in helping students who are still overcoming some of the effects of the pandemic. So 1,400 students involved in that. Looking forward to that. It was a great program last year. You've heard of the summer slide where kids who leave us in May and they come back in August, they've slid a little bit in their academics. We did not see that this year, and we attribute that to the great work of our summer school program, Mrs. Ridgway, Dr. Glass, all of the folks that made that possible, bus drivers, cooks, you name it. It was a great program. Looking forward to it again this year.
Are there any further questions for Mr. Atkins? Very well, moving on. Executive committee approvals, we did two this past month. One was overnight field trip for E.O. Kaufman, and the other one is Hand to Mind quote for $44,879.84 for the summer learning camp. Do you have anything to add, Mr. Atkins?
The overnight field trip to Kaufman, that is for the Lego National Championship in Arkansas, and I don't remember exactly where, but that is a great opportunity for our students to participate in that.
Very well. Moving on to E, Tennessee Legislative Network. I think Ms. Brenda is out. Mr. Plant, do you have anything to add or comments?
To parrot what the director said about the new funding program that goes into effect 23, I believe. And part of it can be redundant, but I implore you to please learn what the thing says, because as I understand it, it is to a larger degree a cooperative effort between the local government and state government rather than state government. Just throwing down some money. So your local county officials are going to be involved in that budget process, and I think it would be in our interest if you understood completely how that takes place. So, what they're getting at. So just please avail yourself of it if you can. I'll be glad to get you information. I'll be glad to try to get you any information about it if you would like. It's all online if you want it, the text, everything, but if you want anything more than that, let me know and I'll try to get it.
Very well. Any questions regarding that? And then last on the report item is F is LCEA. Report.
Good evening. We met with the board's team. We met once to discuss salary and insurance, and we're still meeting and discussing some issues. We were excited to hear some of you thought that it should be a 10% raise. That we appreciate what we're getting. We are still wanting to do some work on the insurance. You know, some people feel they, you know, like maintenance, that they deserve more. It has been a rough year, a rough few years. However, we do appreciate what you are doing for us, and we would appreciate that you continue. I know that you said Tissa had said that the starting salary had to increase, so we do know that hopefully more money is coming down, and we appreciate that.
Are there any questions? Very well, moving on to consider items, discussion and action. Under 3, in the budget, items to consider and discuss. Before we move on, I think we all handed out a conflict of interest page, and I believe before we go on, I'll go ahead and read mine, and if you have anybody else that have conflicts of interest, I'll let you go ahead and read it as well before we move on to the approval of the budgets on 1, 2, 3, and 4. On the last statement is when you vote, you can just leave that blank, and then it'll be on the record of which one, how you voted on that. And I'll read mine first, is because my daughter, my spouse, is an employee of Lawrence County School System. I have a conflict of interest in the proposal about to be voted. However, I declare that my argument and my vote answers to my constituents and to my obligation to my constituents and citizens of this body represented. My vote, as according to when it comes up, it'll be on the record. So is there anybody else who would like to read theirs?
I will.
Go ahead, Nikki.
Because of family members as employees of the Lawrence County School System, I have a conflict of interest in the proposal about to be voted. However, I declare that my argument and my vote answer to my conscience and to my obligation to my constituents and the citizens this body represents.
Thank you, Nikki. Anybody else? Very good. Going forward.
I'll read mine.
Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry, Nick.
Because I have family members who are employees of the Lawrence County School System, I have a conflict of interest in the proposal about to be voted. However, I declare that my argument and my vote answer to my conscience and to my obligation to my constituents and the citizens this body represents.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. Go ahead, Larry.
Because I have family members that are employees of the Lawrence County School System, I have a conflict of interest in the proposal about to be voted. However, I declare that my argument and my vote answer to my conscience and to my obligation to my constituents and the citizens this body represents.
Thank you very much. Moving on, before we vote on the approvals, I think the PowerPoint was sent out to all of y'all regarding what went over last Tuesday on each budget here. That's for the general public, extended school day, food service, and federal project. We can go one-on-one to have a motion. Or we can take all 4 as one. You'll have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve 1 through 4.
We got a motion to approve 1 through 4. Do I have a second? Do I have a second?
Second.
Very good. Motion to approve budget for 1 through 4, which is general purpose budget, Fund 141, extended school day budget, Fund 146, food service budget, Fund 143, and federal project applications, Fund 142. Are there any questions before we ask for a vote?
In the general purpose budget, I'm still very interested in the pre-K-8 schools that have 500 or more students having an additional administrator added. I may be probably am the only one, but
Any comments on that?
I appreciate that, Mr. Davis. We have looked at all of our schools, and currently that number rests at 600, and that includes the pre-K. I don't think there is a problem exploring that as we receive more funding from the state to address those, that particular need or any other need. I would think what we would have to do is begin looking at some of the things we're proposing in this budget if we were going to try to make that happen next school year. I would ask that you consider giving us time to address that as we receive more funding for the future.
Any other further questions? Thank you, Larry. I'll proceed with the vote.
Caruso.
Aye.
Davis.
Aye.
Hartsfield.
Aye.
Mabry.
Aye.
Rochelle.
Yes.
5 ayes.
Motion carries. Please present it to the commissioners.
Mr. Chairman, Mrs. Elledge and I will be presenting that Thursday at 11:30. If you would like to be a part of that, you're welcome to come in.
If anybody has room in their tight schedule, it'll be this Thursday at 11 o'clock. Thank you very much. Moving on to item number 4, personnel items for consideration, differential pay plan. Mr. Atkins.
Mr. Chairman, we brought this up at the planning work session. What we hope to do is expand our involvement in mentors, mentees, continue to have teachers and principals who are training, working with first-year teachers, second-year teachers, a number of areas there, and we've increased that differentiated pay in the budget from $10,000 to $15,000 so that we can make a larger, a broader footprint in helping first-year teachers to the profession and also new teachers to the system. We're seeing some success in that as a part of a retention plan and to also help them ease into the profession.
Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
I got a motion to approve. Do I have a second? Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We got a motion to, and we have a second. Are there any questions regarding this? Please call roll.
Caruso.
Aye.
Davis.
Aye.
Hartsfield.
Yes.
Mabry.
Aye.
Rochelle.
Yes.
5 ayes.
Motion carries. Moving on to 5, facility items for consideration. A, demolition of Summertown High School old gym.
Mr. Chairman, if the board may recall from a previous weekly update where we had that facility inspected by a structural engineer, and the report came back that it was in pretty bad shape, termites, some other damage to it, very little that could be salvaged from that facility, and the cost to fix the existing structure was $1.6 million. The estimated cost to build something comparable to that was around $1.3 million. What I'm asking the board is for permission to seek bids to have that facility demolished, the area up there be corrected, and then some new type facility eventually be placed on that campus for the students. They will be losing access to a building, and we need to move quickly to get a building restored, replaced on that campus for those students.
Do I have a motion for demolition of Summertown old gymnasium?
I move with adopt.
Second.
We got a motion. We have a second. Are there any questions?
I'm probably going to ask a silly question, but what would be the likelihood of us getting the county to do that for us?
The demolition?
Mhm.
I will definitely ask and see what we can have done with that. It's possible.
Are there any further questions? I do have a comment. I really hate to see this. It's a milestone, but it's been there for years and years. I think the community had put in hard work, sweat, tears back in the day when the community helped build up these gyms. But according to the report I'm hearing, it's I guess it's a death trap. So please call roll.
Are we doing A and B? I'm sorry.
No, just A right now.
Just A.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Caruso.
Yes.
Davis.
Aye.
Hartsfield.
Yes.
Mabry.
Aye.
Rochelle.
Yes.
5 ayes.
Motion carries. Moving on to B, the construction of a new building at Summertown High School.
Mr. Chairman, this would be asking the board permission for me to speak with architects, just not one architect, but to seek out architects for a design, some other information that we would need, and that, of course, is going to involve money, and I'm seeking the board's permission to seek those architects and helping design a facility where the old gym is to be replaced with some sort of new facility of some sort, that I'll report back to the board and say, here's the breakdown, here's the look, here's what we're doing, that sort of thing. But I need permission from you to proceed.
Do I have a motion to proceed on a new building?
I move we proceed.
I got a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
We got a motion and a second. Are there any questions?
Are you talking about when you say facility, like new gym, what kind of building?
It would be more, I would think along the lines of a metal building that is educational purposes, inspected by a fire marshal and approved by the state fire marshal's office, but it would not be, it would be more of a metal building, maybe with tennis court type surface in the inside of it for them to use as a walking track, playing sports on it or something. It would not be a gym facility. It would look
a multi-purpose.
Multi-purpose building, not as large as one that's been constructed at Lawrence County High School, but one that size would allow those students and teachers to use it in a way that is beneficial.
Go ahead,
Has the
Nikki.
principal at Summertown said anything about any type building?
Yes, sir. We've had a building proposal, some quotes sent to us, but that's about as far as it's gone, Mr. Hartsfield. We haven't gotten much further than some people saying, here's what we think it would cost.
But I mean, any idea what he's wanting?
Yes, I have those measurements. I can include that in the weekly update and give you kind of the dimensions of it.
So will this be a temporary until they get another gym added to the school, or will this will be the replacement of the old gym?
It would be considered a replacement. It would allow students, 6th grade, 7th and 8th grade students to go over and do PE. With one gym and that student population, they're crowded in there. So this would accommodate their needs. But it would not be, it would be a structure that is very similar to the career tech buildings at Summertown, that along those lines. It's a metal frame type building.
Please call roll. Any other questions? Please call roll.
Caruso.
Aye.
Davis.
Aye.
Hartsfield.
Aye.
Mabry.
Aye.
Rochelle.
Yes.
5 ayes.
Motion carries. Moving on to item number 6, the policy items for consideration. We have policy 3.218, policy 6.405, and policy 6.502.
Move we approve A, B, and C.
I got a motion to approve A, B, and C. Do I have a second?
Second.
I got a motion and a second. Are there any questions or concerns or comments? All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, motion carries as those policies approved. Moving on to item number 7, food service items for consideration. A, food service equipment bid. Mr. Atkins, or is it just Kenlon? Okay, Kenlon.
Good evening. Before you have bids for a roll-through refrigerator, warmer, and then a single-stack combi oven. We sent it out to multiple vendors, and we received the quotes back. I would like to award to the lowest who met the specifications, which would be Strategic. And just as a side note, we received a grant from USDA for the combi oven, so we'll be reimbursed for that cost. And then we also had furniture bids that were sent out to various vendors as well, and I would like to award to the bottom line vendor, which would be Ernie Morris, that met the specifications. The total price may vary based on the configuration of tables chosen. Some may be long and some may be round. We're leaving that up to the principals to decide.
Do I have a motion for both A and B for the equipment and furniture?
Motion for A and B.
We got a motion Do
To
I have
approve
a
A and
second?
B.
Second.
I have a motion for A and B, equipment and furniture, and a second. Are there any questions for Ms. Kinlan?
What is this replacement? I guess my curiosity is, what do we do with the old stuff? Or is this in
The
addition
old
to?
equipment or the
Or
furniture?
Like chairs, furniture, I mean, is that, do we?
If it's reusable, we'll ask if anybody else wants it. If not, we'll surplus it and get
Okay.
rid of it.
Any other questions? Very good. Call roll.
Caruso,
Aye.
Davis,
Aye.
Hartsfield,
Aye.
Mabry,
Aye.
Rochelle,
Yes.
5 ayes.
Thank you.
Motion carries. Moving on to final 8 other items in consideration is the athletic cooperative agreement for 22-23 school year. And you see them in front of your screen. We have Kaufman, well, y'all can read. So we have Kaufman, Lawrence County, South Lawrence, Liama, and Etheridge.
Motion to approve.
I got a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
We have a motion to approve and a second. All in favor, say aye. All disagree. Motion carries. I believe the next meeting,
June 23rd, I think. Make sure I got that right on.
June 23 at 5 o'clock.
Let me make sure, Mr. Chairman. June 23rd. Yeah. It's a Thursday.
Thursday. Good deal. Are there any further questions, comments? Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Meeting adjourned.